morning, I went to the guidance counselor and told her since I was second on the hit list, knowing that there was something going to happen, because there was a girl she was targeting every day at lunch. And they would go to the counselor and tell them every day that this is going to happen. And Wednesday, I went with two others, and each of us filled out a whole paper full of what's going to happen and why it's going to happen. And then I went to chorus and I was told, watch your back. He is going to come for you and this other girl at lunch.
Okay, folks, so you saw a little bit of that, and I'll explain a little bit more. It just gets worse. Anyway, so this girl right here who is very courageous, I give her just massive kudos. She is stronger than most adults. I'm serious at this point, including myself, seriously. Courageous teen shares horrifying account following friend's violent assault by a trans student at Montgomery County Middle School. A 13-year-old boy who identifies as a girl named Melanie, let me show you this here, of course, was recently transferred to Montgomery County Middle School and made a hit list to target girls in the school. This is I'm very suspect. Why were they transferred here? Okay, but let's move on. The students warned counselors and teachers 5 hours prior to the attack. The 13-year-old violently attacked a 12-year-old student in the cafeteria, unprovoked, bludgeoning her in the head repeatedly with a Stanley, causing head injuries. Is that a Stanley tool? You could have stopped it. It was 5 hours from when I told you it was going to happen. I don't get how you couldn't have stopped it. Yes, a mixture of probably some that wanted it to happen. Yes, believe it or not. Some people who are in administrative positions or power of authority that actually encourage this. Because remember, we're talking about the Department of Education. We're talking about the school system here in the United States. The second thing is that there were probably people who were too afraid to say anything. And so the only ones who did anything about it were these girls, okay? And just trying to protect their friend. And again, they could have stopped this. It was 5 hours from when I told you it was going to happen. I couldn't get how you couldn't have stopped that, yes. Oh, man, bless this girl. I'm telling you, bless these kids for doing this and putting up with what we know now is really just the ultimate misogyny. And this is how these leaders from the top down who push this stuff, the transgenderism, Klaus Schwab, etc., Larry Fink, these people who push this stuff on kids and don't ever feel the repercussions or the accountability of it, yet there's tons of victims, and they are immune from this stuff. They're protected from this stuff. These kids are not. And so these kids are probably some of the strongest of society. I will say the kids who come out of this, and they will have scars, they will have battle wounds, but I'll tell you right now, they will be some of our strongest in society, like this girl right here. Donna, social media disruptor, says the parents of the beaten girl needs to sue the crap out of this school, teachers who did nothing, and the boy's parents. I agree. If I was the mother, I would be there every day demanding to get them fired and put in jail, right there with you. Go one further too, charge them as accessories after the fact and charge the other kids' parents as well. There is a precedent now for parents to be held criminally responsible for the criminal behavior of their children. Yes, that precedent was set in Michigan just last week, I think, where two parents were put in jail for quite a long time because their kid was a mass shooter. And so I guess the door is open, but I also am waiting for the identity politics because these parents were white. And I'm waiting for the fact that there are mass shooters who are black and all that stuff. And I promise you, their mothers and fathers won't be held accountable. They won't go to jail for anything. I'm just saying that's the justice system. Do I think people should be equal? Of course I do. Blacks, whites, whatever. You should be equal, but the justice system right now is not in that favor. So Zachary says, yes, parents of school shooter were charged, as I said. I think that the parents of the 13-year-old boy masquerading as a girl should be charged along with the teachers and administrators. Yes. So if you set this precedent, and the left is making a lot of these rules right now, if you're setting the precedent for the game that you're playing and you're making the rules, then it's time that you abide by those rules that you made for yourself. Of course, does that happen? No, we don't see that very often, but occasionally it does. But I think we need to go to them and go, you set the metric. You establish the metric for this. So according to your metric, these parents committed a crime, right? So Michelle says, yikes. I noticed that media reports make no mention that the attacker was trans. Well, of course, that's the way the elites, the powers that be, the anointed, the most powerful, that's the way they want it. Not a single word about it. The press are the enemies of the people. And I do agree with that. I agree that the greatest enemy right now is the, whatever you want to call it. Some people have a fit when you call it mainstream media. They have their little nuances. Corporate media, legacy media, let's just call it the general well-funded state-subsidized media, which is most media. It's not just NPR right now, too. We think that, oh, it's state-affiliated media. Well, that says it on paper. But we know that also state-affiliated media includes MSNBC and CNN and Fox. So they're getting money, too, from the government, too. So most all of them are echoing what the government wants to hear right now. The government's message that there's no such thing, that trans people don't do this. We're just not going to make any mention of it. But apparently it seems to be one more in the notch of transgender violence being perpetrated upon the citizens of the United States right now. As we're seeing many trans mass shooters, trans people making violent direct threats, and seemingly nothing occurring to them or any sort of punishment or anything like that. And so their violence continues while the elite smile down on these things. That poor young lady right there is going to be traumatized for the rest of her life and never trust an adult in school again. How could they say that and allow this to happen? Absolutely abominable. The adults, quote, unquote, that were warned better be held accountable. Poor kids. They did what they were supposed to do. They repeatedly went to the people who were supposed to keep them safe and told what the boy threatened to do. These poor kids had to live their lives in terror of waiting to see if today's the day it's their turn to get it. Anyway, so yeah, so what you're seeing is, again, I repeat it, but it is what is occurring, anarcho-tyranny, where you have the politicians, lawmakers, they allow this to happen. They know exactly what's going on. They know that this is happening, and because they're not doing anything about it, it works in their favor. That's why they allow this to happen. Because what you do is you take the law-abiding citizens, the people who are going to go, hey, wait a second, I don't like that law. I don't think this is right. They keep these people afraid. If they can terrorize us or keep us on an emergency order or in a state of panic or anxiety all the time, they will continue to let this type of stuff occur. They will continue to let people who perpetrate violent crimes, sexual crimes, stuff like that, they will continue not to prosecute them, but then they will point the finger right back at law-abiding citizens going, how dare you speak up? You're just transphobic. The phobic isms and the phobic type stuff that they'll bring out. That's what they bring out as ammunition to keep us quiet. But people are starting, this is getting too much. People are starting to not put up with this anymore. And the pushback is pretty big. So we got to keep pushing back on this and spread awareness of this. That's why I'm making this video. So it is well known that taking the opposite sex hormones creates anger issues in children and adults. It isn't normal, and aggression is created, as well as being jealous of authentic females and males. Interesting how Biden just made a post about Columbine, but doesn't mention instances like this. Talk about selective cherry picking of issues on his part. Nobody did anything to stop it because of fear. Don't want to be seen as upsetting the delicate trans. These are insane times. Yeah, and if anybody tells you that it's a delicate trans or stuff like that, I don't believe it, because I'm seeing a pattern here, and the pattern is mostly violence, aggression, massive hostility, volatility, rage, things like that, and it's not being channeled. It's not being put into the right channels because normally they've blocked off the access to counseling and therapy because they've made it illegal in some places now that if you go in there to do detransition therapy, it's illegal by state law. And so you can't go in there and get detransition therapy or be talked out of it and go, you're just going through a phase. Now they've blocked off that pass. So if you are transgender or if you think you're transgender because of all the influence of social media, that type of crap, it's illegal to bring you into a counselor or a therapist and have the therapist go, I don't think you're transgender. I think you're just going through a phase and maybe we can work our way out of this. That's considered illegal in a lot of places. So they're not giving any avenue to confused kids either. And instead, what they're doing is they're fueling this. Of course, that's exactly what they're doing. They're fueling it by giving them puberty blockers and things like that, which is screwing them up big time because you're screwing with somebody's hormones. So it's, the demons are out and about, folks. So be vigilant. The school's guidance counselor, teachers, and principal are responsible for the vicious attack that put a 12-year-old girl in the hospital. The trans student was transferred to that school because of her/his violent nature. The principal must have known this beforehand. Yeah, you're culpable for sure. If we are at that point that someone's safety is below that of a child's pronouns being safe, it's worse than I thought. Homeschooling is the only way. The leaders in this school are cowards and need to be in shackles. Sadly, this girl will be scarred for life from this experience. I pray it makes her a warrior of freedom and justice. I believe it will. You can tell she's actually level-headed and she's got her head on straight. And if you want to watch the rest of the video, I'll try to remember to leave a link to it. I will. And a link to this Twitter post. So anyway, Maryland teen charged with planned school shooting after police review writings, internet searches. Gosh, yeah, it's getting pretty crazy. Brave little girl right there, now traumatized for life. Hope her friend is okay. And they all sue the city, state, and school for this. Results of DEI harm not helping. Yeah, DEI is a failed grievance. That's just grievance politics. That's all that was. It was under the cloak of some corporate benevolent type of policy, but really DEI is just division, dissolving trust between people, and honing its corporate-sponsored racism. Trans women hate biological women. It's pretty obvious. They've been rejected so many times for being obnoxious as a man. They develop a violent attitudes towards all women. It all probably started with her mother. I think this guy has a spot on comment there, dude. Because remember, there was all this talk of toxic masculinity and stuff like that, and that was just like a regular, straight, white, male man, okay, is what that was targeted at. And we all know that's the target. You can nuance it to death. You can point the finger 5 million different ways, but we all know that's the target of the elite right now. So it's being pushed through the media. It's being pushed through social media. You can tell. And this culture war started in about 2012. There was a huge uptick in articles in like the New York Times and stuff like that, targeting like white males. And so the DEI started about that time too. And the thing that you notice is there was all this screaming and yelling about toxic masculinity for all this time. And so I think the most toxic males in the world are transgender males. People who are male, say they're a woman, dress in a dress, whatever, and then go beat the shit out of a girl or a woman. And where's the feminists? Where'd you all go to? Where's the Me Too'ers? You're all gone. Silence, absolute silence. Gloria Steinem, where'd you go off to, honey? Huh? Oh no, you got your paycheck from the CIA and left. Yeah, the CIA sponsored Ms. Magazine that you had. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. This girl is brave. I can tell she's a sweet girl. These kids don't deserve this. So I'm going to leave it right there. And we're going to leave it right there. And I will let you go. But anyway, just something to be aware of, that this is going on. Of course, it's been going on for a while. We know this. But yeah, so keep up the good work. Share it. Share these messages. And again, I will post the link to this video of this little girl. It's a longer link. I didn't want to show the whole thing. I just wanted you to see a little bit of what's going on here. And then, you know, you can dive into that a little later. So anyway, thanks for watching, folks. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Please put a like on the video if you like it. And please comment below. That would help the algorithm as well. And I will talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.